Today, our special guest is Xin Meng, and we are going to talk about what it's like to be a venture capital investor. What is the most successful, most interesting investment that you have made so far?
All my investments are interesting.
Very confident, very proud.
I'm very proud of the companies that I invest in and I work with. The most interesting one I would say is the first company that I invested in when I joined Chunmei. The company is called Owly, as in a small owl. Say in an indoor environment, right, in a stadium or in a house, they've put up maybe 20 cameras with depth capturing capabilities. Mm-hmm. It will be able to create a real-time three-dimensional model of you and your surroundings.
Wow.
In real time, right? If you're watching the NBA right now, media shows an NBA game. Mm-hmm. They have a bunch of different cameras, and you can switch between angles and cameras, and you all always get a 2D shot, right?
Yeah.
And but what they can do is you'll be able to create a virtual camera anywhere in the stadium. You'll be able to calculate what you would see if there is a camera on the field.
Wow, that's so interesting.
You can move that camera along. For example, if you like Kobe Bryant, you can follow Kobe Bryant as he, go for a dunk. Watch him from the tip of his head. You can kneel down and see him from below his shorts.
And you can probably also see from his angle, right? Pretending you're him.
You can also from his angle, exactly.
That sounds really cool. Really, really cool. Are there anything in particular that you find challenging or you don't like about being a VC investor?
Sure. I think having a background on the entrepreneur world, there is always an inner urge to be very hands-on in a project, right? So if a company that you invest in is going through something that you've been through as an entrepreneur before, it's almost your instinct to help them to avoid mistakes. But you have to always remind yourself to keep a distance from becoming too hands-on, because otherwise you'll become annoying. There's a certain element of acting too much and making an entrepreneur insecure. And you don't want that, because you want the entrepreneur to be the real owner from a psychological level as well as from an execution level. Two, whether in the corporate world or the entrepreneur world, I've spent a lot of time, almost all my time, thinking about how to bring together the limited resource and limited people together to join forces and be able to achieve something together, right? But in the venture capital world, really, I think the default working methodology is not is in individual teams and very, very small teams. There's not a lot of sharing. There's not a lot of teamwork, especially in your very, very small team. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of cross-team or cross-person, collaborations in most senses. And it has been a way, I guess, in the past 20, 30 years, and people who are doing well are not looking for a change. So I'm not very used to that in the first place. I think a lot of instincts me coming on was to how to pull our knowledge together, to pull our understanding, our skill sets together. Essentially, I come to understand most people do it in a very individual, personal, branded way, and they do it for a reason.
Venture capitals usually invest in many projects and only hoping 1% would succeed. Is that true?
In essence, 1% is a bit low for as a number, but more or less, that probably 10 to 20% is probably more close to the truth.
People think that VC don't always mentor you throughout your business building. So is it also because that you guys are only looking for 10 to 12% success out of your investment pool? So it doesn't make sense to dive too deep into each individual company and then try to take them to success individually?
Yeah, so the funny thing is, the time that the company that you really need to spend time on after making investment is the company that are doing worst. And the middle chunk of the companies you don't really have to do anything about. They will grow as they do. The company that are doing best, you want to spend most of your resources to help them just to be a little better so they can drive your, the huge returns. The company that are doing worse, you also want to help them to avoid being a complete bust in doing that. So I think if all of your company are doing mediocre, then probably you don't have to spend much time on any of them. If all of your companies are either doing really good or really bad, then you probably have to spend a lot.
I see. So it is also not true that VC investor will just left those startups to die if they can't survive themselves. Sounds like you guys will actually focus on those to help them survive, which is great.
Depends on your background. I think a lot of, if you're a really early angel investor and you invest 100 companies a year, then it's hard to do anything after you might forget about the company you invest.
That's not sad.
I'm not joking. I think that happens a lot for angel investment in early stages. There's a few famous joke about that these days. A company, a famous investor here, read out a company on news, and they just launched a new product, and he got so excited and told his investment team right away to get on that project and see if they can invest in it. And they told him, we already invested in it, right? We're already.
Or more interested when the company actually went viral and become a really successful company, and the investor may not even realize they're going to get the return of it.
Yeah. So,
that's really funny.
If you overstretch yourself, then you might forget about you probably can't do anything about it. But
Makes sense.
If you're investing less than 10 companies a year, you probably have a lot of time in terms of helping them how to grow.
Makes sense. Cool. Next, a lot of people think that Google, Facebook, Alibaba's success cannot be repeated again. So a lot of investors wanted to find another Google, another Facebook, another Alibaba, but probably the chance of having another company like them is very low. Do you think that's true?
I think this has been a debate in the investment world for quite some time these days, and I think more or less the consensus is yes, that is true. They're almost in every sector. There's no single. So Tencent, for example, they are a online product company. They're an online gaming company, online video company. But on top of that, they're also a movie company, right? They're a movie studio. They're also a payment company. They're also they provide so many services around that they're a conglomerate, more or less. So you're looking at a new wave of company that become the Samsungs of the world, where, for example, where they build almost everything.
Gotcha.
And there's no other company can compete, and they're getting larger and larger and larger. And also on top of that, all of them are getting very smart in making investments. As long as they see, once they see something that is growing picking up a lot of traction and posing a threat to their core business, they will acquire them or invest in them or invest in a competitor to them. So it's very difficult to overcome that. The BAT investment teams are becoming more and more influential in the investment world, and their importance is probably more important than us these days in building them.
Interesting.
So it's difficult to compete in that world.
Maybe Ali will become the next Google, Facebook. The idea sounds really interesting. I have faith in it.
I'll be very, very rich and retire and don't have to work in this field anymore.
Cool. And at that time, I will talk to you again about what it's like to be a billionaire. All right, last. There's a meme that anyone can be a venture capital investor as long as you have money.
Yes, you'll be able to become an angel investor, not a venture capital investor if you have money. I think angel investor is a hobby. It could be institutionalized, but it is more driven on your personal resources and your personal interest. Being an institutionalized venture capitalist is more of a discipline and a profession where you might have to look into sectors that you are not necessarily interested in. It drives good return. Right? So it is a profession.
Thanks again for joining us today, Shane, to share what it's like to be a VC investor. Personally, I feel like I learned a lot, and I can't wait to write up my business plan and maybe get our talk show funded. And I will also promise to be a good gatekeeper for you, because I know our fans will probably have a lot of questions following. Fans, if you have more questions or thoughts, please leave your comments in our page and channel. And if your question is about getting in touch with Shane, I will be the gatekeeper. Let's do this tradition together. What it's like to be a VC investor. DNA, get.
Yes.